Hello, scuba divers and scaredy cats. My name is Besaid, and welcome back to Final Fantasy X, where we are still...
What's this? Some kind of crane?
Trapped on this ship with a crane on it.
All right. You don't have to shout.
We're still trapped on this ship in the middle of the sea, with weird crane on it and some people who have guns, and only one of whom speaks some approximation of English.
Oh, almost forgot.
And now we're gonna get a tutorial on how the leveling system in this game works. So I'm just gonna skip through this, because I'll explain it to you as we go. But basically, this grid is like a little game board, and every time you gain a level, you gain the ability to move on the game board. So if you have 4 sphere levels, you can move 4 spaces on the board. And you need to get next to these little nodes, these little spaces on the board, in order to activate them and get their abilities and their stat bonuses. You activate those by using the items that you see there, the spheres. Power spheres, mana spheres, speed spheres, and ability spheres. And if you don't have them, then you can't activate the nodes on the board, but fortunately getting a hold of them is not actually difficult, even a little bit. And so that's basically the method of progression. You advance through the board, and you level up your stats one after the other as you go along, which means that there's as you can see, it's also a pretty damn big board, which means that there's an interesting character to the progression in this game. Because you advance through the sphere grid, and as you can see, I'm pretty much set, as I mentioned in the last episode, on a pretty linear path that goes this way around, this way around, this way around, that paces out exactly when I get access to various abilities. But there's also these little things right here. These are locks. This is a level 1 lock, which means we'll be able to get the necessary item to unlock that fairly early in the game. But over here, we have a level 4 lock and a level 3 lock. Now, level 4 locks usually lock off stuff that is unusually powerful, or only meant to be accessed in the late game. For example, this ability and trust and luck abilities and stuff like that. But this level 3 lock right here would lead me into a different character's sphere grid path. Because, like I say, sphere grid is pretty big, and as I acquire other characters, they will start on different slots in the sphere grid. For example, our mystery friend over here is starting down here, whereas we've got a mage who is going to start down here with the thunder and fire abilities, and a white mage that starts in a different spot. So on the advanced sphere grid, you get a lot more easy access to the ability to like get your characters into alternate paths early on. As you can see from the grid that Tidus is on right now, like I can get here. Ultima, by the way, is right there. If you want that spell, you know where to find it. I can get him in here into this central hub area right here pretty easily with a level 1 lock, and from there, there's the ability to access other parts of the sphere grid. So if you want to do crazy, weird builds with the characters early on, that is available to you. And because of the way this game handles stats, and because of the way it handles damage and abilities and stuff like that, this game is also extremely viable for challenge runs, like level 1 runs, where you basically just don't use the sphere grid at all, or ones where you only get abilities, but you don't get any of the stat upgrades. There's all kinds of different challenge runs that you can do with the game, because it has this flexible leveling system where no matter how much you level up, you don't have to increase in power at all unless you want to. Which allows for a hell of a lot of customization and flexibility, especially on the advanced sphere grid if you want it. But it also gives you the ability to just choose the standard sphere grid and just take your characters through it step by step and not even worry about it. Anyway, we're going to move Tidus up one bit, use an ability sphere because it's all we have, and acquire the ability to cheer. which is his first ability, and it's a little ability you can use to raise the party's strength and defense. And it actually comes in handy for a few things, although it's pretty marginal mostly early on.
We found some ancient ruins right beneath us. It's not active now, but there should still be some power left. We're gonna go down there and activate it. And then we should be able to salvage the big prize. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's get to work.
Roger.
You may recognize the voice actress for Riku, by the way. It's Tara Strong, who's also known for, she's voiced Harley Quinn in a lot of things, and she has been Twilight Sparkle on the My Little Pony show, as well as Bubbles on Powerpuff Girls, and, like, just innumerable other roles. Like, she's an amazingly prolific voice actress. So here's another grind spot, or at least that's oftentimes when I played this game, especially when I was younger, I would grind here, because there are actually, there we go, random encounters. And it's a little bit useful because you can steal grenades from these bastards, which makes some of the fights that we're going to be doing just in this early section a little bit easier to handle. Or rather, not easier, just a little bit faster, actually. But hey, underwater battles too, by the way, which is a thing that, again, it's the kind of thing that probably the marketing material they will have advertised as possible with the power of PlayStation 2, but it was genuinely one of those things where, like, the ability to have multiple different kinds of battle scenes and the ability to, like, have fully 3D rendered battle environments, all of that stuff was, like, you needed to get up to DVD levels of storage in order to store all this stuff, all these textures, all these, like, light maps, all of this everything, all of these sound files, all of these visual effects. So, like, this is, like, back in the day when going from one generation to the next actually meant a real sea change. Like, a real... Nice tech support there, Titus. A real genuine change in what games were capable of doing. And Final Fantasy X is one of the games that really took advantage of that. That, like, really did have a genuine paradigm shift in what the games could be, because again, you couldn't do most of this on a PS1. Like, just in terms of the size and scale of the environments and just the level of animation that the characters are capable of engaging in. No, steel grenades. Thank you. But yeah, as you can see, after each battle, I've already been gaining mana spheres, speed spheres, and other spheres that I'll need to activate nodes on the sphere grid. So generally speaking, for like the vast majority of the game, you will never run out of the spheres you need in order to, like, get stat increases. It's not a thing that generally happens, except for one kind of sphere, and we'll talk about that when we get there. More of the seamless battle ambition. Grab another grenade from that guy. That's what I needed all those grenades for, is for this particular fight, because he's about to do that thing, which is annoying. Out of attack range. Special commands become available in certain battles. Press left in the command window to access them. Stand by while recovering HP. We're not going to do that here, because I'd rather cheer and increase our defenses a little bit. And then Riku, please throw a grenade at him, because he's not out of range of grenades. That's what I need the grenades for. Hit us with another cheer, please. Nautilus charge. Bang. Ow. It does let me attack him from behind, though. Anyway, heal yourself up a little bit. Thank you. Pincer attack. And that stops him using that annoying charge thing that he does. Another advantage of the use command for grenades is that it's really fast. So that our little I don't remember if I've actually used her name by accident already, because we get to learn their name later. So that our ally there gets extra turns to hit him. So you may notice that question marks here needs 425 AP to get to the next level, whereas Titus needs 13. There's a reason for that, and you'll see in 20, 30 episodes, who knows, it'll be a while. And so, here I'm in a situation where I don't have the sphere I need to activate the defense node, because I need a strength sphere for that, and I got one. So the game relies really heavily on motion blur, by the way. As you may notice in some of the cutscenes and stuff, there's a hell of a lot of blurring that goes on. And that's something that you didn't see as much back on the PS2. Like, back on the PS2, the blur was less obvious because the resolution of that console was much, much lower. And because you'll be playing it on, like, a crappy CRT television. It gets a little bit more visually distracting now, playing it in, like, true HD on a PC monitor. But that's, one of those little artifacts of early... Well, not early 3D games, but early games of this particular type. Is they had all these little visual tricks that were new. It's like, oh my god, we could never do this kind of blurring before. We'll use motion blur and everything, yes! Going a little bit overboard with a lot of things that kind of looked nice and cool and new back then, but nowadays just feels excessive. What a strange thing we found in the sea here. I wonder if we'll see it again. So one interesting thing is that at this point, like after having been transported from our old world, we end up in this situation with these characters who are still like sailing around on this pretty advanced machinery and diving into ruins and like unlocking ancient technology and stuff like that. Stuff that's clearly like electricity-ish powered. That seems like future tech. And that's an interesting... And that's an interesting little move, frankly. Shakes himself off like a dog.
Hey! Hey, I helped out, didn't I?
And that's an interesting little move that kind of eases you in to where Titus is now.
Hungry. Right on.
Hey! It's because you eat too fast. Hey!
Hello there. What is your name?
Riku?
Whoa! You really do understand. Woo-hoo-hoo! Huh? Why didn't you say so earlier?
I didn't get a chance to. Everyone thought we were a fiend.
We?
Oh, we means you.
Who are you guys anyway?
We're Albed. Can't you tell? Wait, you're not an Albed hater, are you?
I don't even know what an Albed is.
Where are you from?
Xanarkand. I'm a blitzball player. Star player of the Xanarkand Abes.
Did you hit your head or something?
You guys hit me?
Oh, right. Do you remember anything before that?
So I told her everything there was to tell about Xanarkand. About life there, Blitzball, and Sin's attack. And about how Aaron and I were engulfed in this light. I just said things as they came to mind. But then I started to wonder. Did I say something funny?
You were near Sin.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry, you'll be better in no time. They say your head gets funny when Sin is near. Maybe you just had some kind of dream?
You mean I'm sick?
Because of Sin's toxin, yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, there is no Xanarkand anymore. Sin destroyed it 1,000 years ago. So no one plays blitzball there.
Huh? What do you mean, 1,000 years ago? But I saw Sin attack Xanarkand. You're saying that happened 1,000 years ago? No way!
And so the question is raised. Did we time travel?
You said... You play blitzball?
Uh-huh.
You know, you should go to Luca. Someone might know who you are, or you might find someone you recognize.
Luca?
Ah.
Huh.
Okay, leave it to me. I'll get you to Luca. Promise. You'd rather stay here?
Uh-uh.
Okay, I'll go tell the others. Wait here. Oh, and one thing. Don't tell anyone you're from Xanarkand, okay? Yevon says it's a holy place. You might upset someone.
Oh, uh-huh.
You can tell that the lip sync, even though there isn't that much of it, but it is lip synced to the Japanese audio and not to the English.
My Xanarkand? Some kind of holy place? Yeah, right, I thought. Since when? Yevon? Sin? Luca? I thought Sin just took me to a faraway place, that I could go back in a day or two. But 1,000 years into the future? No way! Whoa, whoa!
Etonic!
Whoa! Ah!
Anyway, say goodbye to Riku, everyone.
Riku! Blitzball!
Hey, you okay?
Hey!
Ah, much nicer place to be, don't you think? Blue skies, warm sands, treasure chests hiding just off screen. Whoop. Moon crest. I'll explain what that is later. Much, just truly so much later. Just, like, let it be enough that it's a very good idea to pick it up now and not wait.
Yo. Hiya.
You wanna try that move one more time?
Finally. Things were starting to look up.
You know, amateur. Who you play for?
The Xanarkin Abes.
Titus, what did Riku just tell you?
Team you say again?
I meant, forget that. I got too, close to Sin, and my head's all foggy like. So, I don't know where this place is. Or even where I came from.
Sin's toxin got to you. But you're still alive. Praise be to Yevon. All right, back to practice. I'm Waka, coach and captain of the Besaid Aurochs, brother. What, you hungry? Okay, back to the village. I'll get you something.
Once again, just skipping ever so gently past the need for Titus to, you know, to introduce himself and say what his name is. Dun da 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 da, treasure chest. Da 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 da. I think that's all of them. Yes. I really want to make Captain Waka proud at this year's tournament. Hey, I'll admit it, we're not the best blisters in Spira. That shot was spectacular, brother. I wish I could shoot like that. Gotta stop closing my eyes when the ball comes down. I can hit ball pretty good. Today's just a bad day, yeah?
I felt like I could trust this Waka, so I just had to ask. It's true Zanarkand was destroyed, right? 1,000 years ago? So it's just a big pile of rubble now, isn't it?
Long time ago, there were a whole lot of cities in Spira. Big cities with machina, machines to run them. People played all day and let the machina do the work. And then, well, take a look. Sin came and destroyed the machina cities. And Zanarkand along with him. Yeah, that was about 1,000 years ago. Just like you said. If you ask me, Sin's our punishment for letting things get out of hand. What gets me, though, is we gotta suffer because of what some goofballs did way back when. Of course, we must always repent for our sins. That's important. It's just that it's hard to keep at it sometimes, you know?
It was just as Riku said. Waka and Riku couldn't both be lying. Why would they?
But you from the Zanarkand Daves, that was a good one, huh? Hey, I'm not saying that team never existed, yeah? But you gotta figure, a team living in luxury like that be pretty soft, eh?
I appreciated the fact that Waka was trying to cheer me up. But at that time, all I could think about was everything that happened to me. All this started with Sin. Maybe if I could find Sin one more time, I could go home. For now, I just live life until that time came. No more worrying about where or when I was. Sure, it was hard not to think of home, but I started to feel better already. A little better. Maybe.
He adjusted quickly. Time for some good vibes.
Hey, it's this way.
I love this music.
What's the big idea?
This music is so good. Like, it has that perfect, like, tropical island vibe to it. So lovely. Unfortunately, it gets ruined by random encounters, but oh well. So our boy Waka here attacks with a blitz ball. Hey, a power sphere. Excellent. Increase my defense by 1. That'll make a difference. He attacked with a blitz ball, which makes him a ranged character, which will come into play during certain battles every once in a while, but not always. He's also the status change specialist. Basically, Waka will get a ton of abilities that inflict some kind of status change on the enemy, which comes in real handy in certain circumstances. Like this game, you can just kind of mash your way through it, like just attack, to an extent. But there comes a point where you really, like, genuinely do need to exploit the combat system and, like, inflict status changes and use the character's abilities. That's not yet, though, so no worries. Treasure chest. Da da. Da da. And another one. One thing I do appreciate about the battle system in this game too, like, you remember Final Fantasy IX, if you're watching along with that series? It took, like, you got the random encounter starting, and then there was a fade out, then there was a fade into the battle scene, and then the camera did a little panning around and showing, oh, here's the enemy, here's your party, and then eventually the battle started, and then, like, the ATB timer started going up, so there could be, like, a really long period between getting into a fight and even being able to take any action that would finish it, which is like, the game had a certain pace to its combat, which we talked about extensively, how haste kind of became pointless because so many of the abilities took so long to resolve that characters would fill up the ATB gauges anyway, even if you didn't have haste on them. And so at the end of Final Fantasy IX, you got into a situation where you were, like, sort of working with a turn-based system almost, even though the game isn't turn-based. That's not so much the case with Final Fantasy X, because, first of all, because everything is faster, like, everything moves much snappier, everything generally resolves a lot quicker, you get much faster from starting a battle to ending it. But also because you have a system that is genuinely turn-based, haste actually makes a huge amount of difference to the number of turns you can take.
Let me go.
Got a favor to ask you.
You want me on your team, right?
A major Blitz tournament's coming up. All the teams in Spira will be there. It's so huge, I'm sure someone there will recognize you. Then you can go back to your old team, right? It'll be fun. What do you say, huh? Come on, come on!
Sure thing.
Dude, our team is gonna rock, eh?
More custom animation, by the way, for that dialogue scene.
I thought then that Blitzball and Sin were the only two things that Spira and Zanarkand had in common. I wasn't too far off either.
This is where I was born. I started Blitz when I was 5. I joined the Aurochs at 13, 10 years ago. 10 years, and we never won a game. Well, after last year's tournament, I quit. Time seemed right. So, after quitting, I got this new job, yeah? But every time my mind wandered, I thought about the game.
10 years without a single win will do that.
My first match last year was my big chance. But something else was on my mind. I couldn't focus.
Nice excuse.
Hey, hey!
So, you want to win the next tournament? Go out with a bang. So, what's our goal?
I don't care how we do. Long as we play our best. If we give it our all, I can walk away happy.
No. If I say, what's our goal? You say, victory! When you play in a Blitzball tournament, you play to win.
Victory? You're serious?
Final Fantasy X is genuinely quite a gorgeous game in places. Like, because you can see, looking at the ground texture here, it looks a lot nicer now that I'm using, like, an HD upscale, but the shots that we have here on the hill with the statue here in the background...
It's an ancient custom. People leaving the island pray here for a safe trip. They say it works pretty good.
You have the statue in the background and the blue skies and the characters kind of looking out over the whole thing. I think it's genuinely very pretty. Like, it has a really nice aesthetic to it. Which, again, this is such a different style, visually, than anything a Final Fantasy game has been before. Because you have this tropical island aesthetic.
Be on guard. There are fiends on the road today. After surviving your run-in with Sin, it would be a shame if something happened now.
And take a look at those two characters, too.
Who are they?
Luzu and Gata, Crusaders.
Huh? Crews of what?
What, you forgot that too? Hey, sorry. Don't worry about it. I'll help you out.
Cool. In return, come tournament time, I'll make sure we take the cup.
Cool. About the Crusaders, you can ask them yourself. They got a lodge in a village.
Like, look, those two guys are basically a kind of soldier. And look at the aesthetic with which they're designed. There really isn't much of the sort of European...
Besaid village.
They got any food there?
We'll get you something over there later. Take a look around first. Let's see. The Crusaders' Lodge is over yonder. Luzu and Gata are usually there. All right. Over here.
Huh? What's up?
You do remember the prayer, right?
I didn't know it in the first place, to tell the truth.
Man, that's like the basics of the basics. All right, I'll show you. Go ahead, you try.
More custom animation.
Hey, not bad. Okay, now go present yourself to the temple summoner.
Any blitzball player would know that prayer. It was the blitzball sign for victory.
And there you go. That's why the little kids were doing it in the previous video. This is also, I believe, the first Final Fantasy game where they used extensive motion capture to do a lot of the custom dialogue scene animation, but also to do the various CGI cutscenes. Anyway, hello. Sin struck Besaid village so many times I lost count. After this house got hit, I guess the owner just let it be. Well, he won't mind if I steal everything in the ruins, then. Thank you very much. So, look at the aesthetic of this place. Look at the way that, like, the houses, they basically resemble almost seashells. It has this sort of... And I don't want to, like, overstep my expertise here because I'm really not an expert in these histories or cultures, but it has what looks to me like a sort of semi-Pacific Islander aesthetic almost. Like, it certainly is very sea-themed in the way that it's put together, because it looks like clamshells or snail houses or something along those lines. That's kind of very much the design aesthetic. And look at the way that this, like, Crusader Pavilion thing, which we can't get a good look at right now, but look at the way it's put together, like this multi-layered tent held up with these swooping curves and arches, which is very much the same kind of aesthetic that you see in the temple here. Like, look at those flying buttresses, like those flying arches that are, like, holding up this, like, almost seashell-like ceiling, like this weird-looking roof on the thing. And that's something that's so unlike, like, it's like I said, Final Fantasy has been, as a series, been stuck very much in, like, medieval European aesthetics, or indeed in, like, modern sci-fi Western aesthetics a lot. So this entire look for the game, just this shape language, all these curves, like, everything curves and arches and sways. It's very new to the series, and honestly, at that time, in gaming as a whole, it was new. Let's see, I'm okay for most things. Yeah.
Who are you, mister? Where you from?
I heard the sin toxin got to you. Took your memory, eh? I'd be happy to teach you anything you've forgotten, sonny. How wretched you must be to have forgotten the teachings of Yevon. The teachings are the only salvation for those who suffer because of sin. I'm sure you followed the teachings before the toxins got to you, of course. Go pray at the temple. All will return in time. Oh, the foul vapors that boil from sin's hide are evil indeed. One breath and it'll taint the very core of your body. People who get too close to sin forget even the most important things. Just like you, eh? How could you forget sin? I can't say I don't envy you, though. There's many who would give anything to forget this pain that sin has brought. Sin appeared 1,000 years ago, a raging demon intent on reducing Spira to rubble. Everyone in Spira lives under sin's black shadow. But to forget sin, well, I'd consider yourself lucky, eh? Zanarkand was once a great city in the far north of this land. Now it lies in ruin, destroyed by sin 1,000 years ago. Such was its punishment for relying too much on Machina. Sin's toxin? Nah, you don't look sick. You must have not breathed in much of the stuff, yeah? I guess being a Blitz player means you can hold your breath pretty good. The Besaid fabrics they make here are famous all over Spira. If I buy cheap and sell high, I'll be rolling in gil in no time. Again, lovely music here. And the interiors of these temples are, at least as far as I can tell, very much patterned after the style of like temple building that you would see in South and Southeast Asia. Like if you go to like Jakarta, if you look at the ancient temples that they especially Hindu temples that they have in India, it's that kind of aesthetic. Nothing here is patterned after a church. Which again, for Final Fantasy is a little bit unusual because like Final Fantasy has made very explicit references to Catholicism and especially, but just Christianity as a whole.
Standing in that place. I began to realize how different this world was from my own.
Instead of stained glass windows, you have these hanging tapestries all over the place. Instead of like the typical symmetry that you would find in like a European church and the aesthetic symmetry, you have lots of inspiration from Islamic architecture as well, like these incredibly decorative textures. We'll take a look at the floor in just a second. That give this whole place such a completely different flavor from not just Final Fantasy, but like from like honestly, outside of games that specifically come from Southeast Asia these days, I can't think of any major RPGs that I've played that have taken that same kind of inspiration from those same regions and cultures.
"10 years have passed since Lord Braska became High Summoner. And finally, we receive a statue for our temple.
Well, what's a High Summoner? I got too close to Sin's, toxin. It was funny hearing myself make the same excuse over and over. Funny, and a little sad.
The Summoners are practitioners of a sacred art, sworn to protect the people of Yevon. Only a chosen few become Summoners, who call forth entities of great power, the Aeons. The Aeons hear our prayers and come down to us. They are the blessing of Yevon.
So what he meant was that we should respect some kind of great men, or something like that, I figured.
Look at the floor here. Like, look at that just distressingly intricate, decorative, like hyper-patterned, hyper-stylized, gorgeous floor texture. Like, just look at that. That's the kind of... You won't find that in a lot of Christian churches, but you will find that in Hindu temples and Islamic mosques, I believe. And it's just like... And also just the use of color. Like, the purples and the reds and lots of blues, and like, it's such a different world to exist in. I love it. I really do love the aesthetic of this game. And I feel like it got underappreciated in its time, and like the focus on calligraphy, look at all those symbols on the wall. Even searching the scriptures of Yevon, I have found no cure for sin's toxin. May the blessing of Yevon guide you to health, friend. So here we have an example of a pre-rendered background. This is not a fully 3D rendered environment. This is like you would see in Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9, a pre-rendered background with like occlusion and layers added in so that cheetahs can go behind a pillar but also in front of it, etc. And the game mixes and matches these in all over the place. Whereas this right here, obviously, with the camera swinging around, giving us different views. I hope I get over the toxin quick. The big operation's coming up. It's a fully 3D environment.
Please let the Order score at least one goal.
I sure hope we don't run into Sin on our next voyage. And like these lines and lines of statues of presumably, you know, dead saints of some kind. And here's a clever little space-saving trick. This room right here is exactly the same as the room over on the right, but it's just been mirrored.
Sorry, man. No time for lunch yet. Take a nap. You look pushed.
You could at least go see how they are doing.
We can't interfere. It's a rule.
But it's been nearly. But it's been nearly.
It's been nearly a day already.
Perhaps you could go look for us.
People are searching for him now.
Thank you.
Who cares whether he comes back or not?
But he might die.
Fine, let him.
Do you hate him so? But if he dies, you'll never be able to tell him how much you hate him.
Strange dreams.
Waka?
Another pre-rendered environment, by the way. Which, again, on the PS2, you couldn't tell. Like, it was very hard to tell the difference between what was fully 3D rendered and what was a 2D environment, because at that point, unlike on the PS1, which was much more heavily limited by resolution, there wasn't actually that much of a difference in the rendering that a PS2 could do live, versus what they would use for a pre-rendered environment in the background. It's become more obvious now, with like with the HD conversion, but back in the day, as ever, back in my day, we didn't have full 3D graphics and we were happy. Hey, found another Albert primer.
I want to go to the temple, but there's an operation to prepare for.
I saw the apprentice summon and 2 guardians enter the temple yesterday. Everything looked alright then, but now I'm starting to worry. You're looking for Waka. The priest called him to the temple a while back. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Da, da, da. We forgot to go to the Crusader Lodge earlier, sadly. Oh well. Not that it matters that much.
Is something wrong?
The summoner hasn't returned from the trial.
Eh?
Well, apprentice summoner, really.
Huh?
There's a room in there called the Cloister of Trials. Beyond is where the apprentice summoner prays. If the prayer is heard, the apprentice becomes a fully fledged summoner. Remember?
So someone is in there somewhere and they haven't come back out. Right, I got it.
A day's already gone by.
Is it particularly dangerous in there?
Sometimes, yes.
Why don't you go in and help?
There's already guardians in there. Besides, it's forbidden.
Hey, but what if something happens? What if the summoner dies?
The precepts must be obeyed.
Like I care.
Doi.
Maybe this wasn't such a good idea after all.
Welcome to the Cloister of Trials. This is pretty much where you get your puzzle dungeon in this game. There's a few of these throughout the game that you have to solve, and they're all just puzzle dungeons. And if you haven't ever played the game before, get used to hearing this musical theme a lot, because some of them are a little bit convoluted. This first one, though, fortunately, fairly easy. But this is pretty much where, like, classic Final Fantasy dungeon puzzling kinds of things, all of it got shoved in here, into the Cloisters of Trials. You don't get to see that anywhere else, pretty much. So, Gliss spheres open the way to the Chamber of the Faith, Destruction spheres open the way to Hidden Treasure, and it seems Besaid spheres are also necessary. Give me a glyph sphere, please. You can carry only one sphere at a time. And this is the core of the puzzling that happens in the Cloister of Trials. You pick up spheres that fit in one place, and you take those spheres and you put them in another place. And if you do it in the correct order, then you unlock the way to get to the thing. For now, you're coming back with me, my friend.
Hooray!
There's the Destruction Sphere. Like it said, the Destruction Sphere opens the way to hidden treasures, so there's a little mini-game in the temples, basically, where you need to find out where the hell the relevant Destruction Sphere that you need in order to get to the treasures is hidden. Oh, right. Doi. Go back there for a sec. Got rid of the Besaid sphere, put the Besaid sphere in this thing. Wall be gone. And now we go get the Destruction Sphere. And of course, there's a secret hidden behind getting all of the Destruction Sphere treasures. So, you know, there's that. No, wait, hang on. In here. Boom. So you, like, unless you want to go back and do the entire goddamn puzzle again later, which you can do, you should solve them all on the first go. Because it makes your life easier. Anyway, Rod of Wisdom. No, I want to push it. There we go. Ta-da!
Hey! What's gotten into you? Hey, it's okay. Only summoners, apprentice summoners, and their guardians can enter here. It's a tradition, very important.
So what about you?
Me? I'm a guardian.
A guardian? Whoa! Ah!
Summoners go on a pilgrimage to pray at every temple in Spira. Guardians protect them. The Guardian's in there now. One of them's got a short fuse, and who knows what the other's thinking. Well, now that we've come this far, might as well go all the way.
What are you doing here? Didn't think we'd be able to handle it.
Hello.
No, it's just... See, I told you she gets mad easy.
Is the summoner all right?
Who are you?
Sweaty.
I've done it. I have become a summoner.
Man, was I surprised. And here I was thinking summoners were all old geezers.
Putting your transgression aside for now, let us celebrate the birth of a summoner. Thanks for the distraction.
Hey, over here!
Want to see something cool?
What? Ow!
Wait till you see this.
I can't see anything.
Ready?
Okay.
I had never seen anything like it in my life. Sure, it was a little scary, but still, I could feel a strange kind of gentleness coming from it.
Say hello to Valifor. Now, again, the game is allowing us to name them for ourselves, which means that the writing kind of has to tiptoe around never actually saying the names of these creatures specifically. Which is another one of those little... Like, if I was in charge of it, I would have said, no. When these are sacred beasts summoning things in the context of the lore of this game, people should be able to say their goddamn names with reverence or something. But, to the game's credit, it gets around it pretty damn gracefully most of the time.
I remember that night we talked for the first time. I didn't know it then, but after that night, everything changed. For everyone. For me.
Let me introduce you to the team. This guy here wants into the tournament so bad, I let him on the team. His memory's a little fuzzy, so don't mind him if he says anything odd. Come on, say hi.
Hi guys.
Once again,
So what's
just
our goal?
not saying the name.
To do our best! Nope, we got a new goal now. Our new goal is victory! To win every match, defeat every opposing team, to bring the Crystal Cup back to our island. That's all we need to do to win. Easy, huh?
Victory! 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 Yeah!
The Aurochs are good boys. Hit the other team hard. Make it easy on the goalkeeper, yeah? Everyone's acting like we already won. Not that I can blame him, yeah? Victory, huh? There's gonna be 6 teams from all over Spira at the tournament. Hey, I was hoping you joined the team all along, yeah?
We sure got the boys worked up, huh?
You heathen!
Stay away from the summoner! You're a bad man!
Lady Una, be careful.
But it was really my fault to begin with. I'm Yuna. Thank you so much for your help earlier.
Once again, not introducing ourselves.
I'm sorry about that. Wasn't I not supposed to... Guess I kinda overreacted.
Oh no, I was overconfident.
I saw that Aeon thing. That's amazing.
Really? Do you think I can become High Summoner?
Lady Yuna, come play with me some more.
So, tomorrow then.
Tomorrow?
We're going on the same boat, aren't we?
Oh, really?
We can talk more.
Huh.
If you know what I mean. Well,
You can
no, talk.
Tell me all
Actually
about
talk.
Zanarkand.
Yuna's a cutie. She's definitely like... I love the...
She's cute, yeah?
Yes, she is.
Then we're cool.
Hey, but what if she, like, comes on to me?
That's not going to happen. If you get tired, let me know. I had a bed made for you.
So, we'll talk about Yuna's character design a little bit. Let's talk about character design now, actually. Especially this one character design coming up that, you need to talk about. But let's talk about character design, because there's something interesting going... Like, look at Tidus. I can't go near Yuna. The old man will yell at me again. So look at Tidus' character design. Look at his outfit. Look at the way it looks. This is very much Tetsuya Nomura's brainchild. He did most of the character design for this game, and Tidus is very much him displaying a sort of... You can see the prototype of Kingdom Hearts aesthetic being formed in Tidus's character design, especially like with like he's got the cool badass necklace thing, he's got earrings, he's got chains, and he's got zippers all over the thing, and the construction of it seems kind of nonsensical, but also clearly very heavily inspired by an early 2000s streetwear aesthetic, right? It's a ridiculous outfit that doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's one that like, oh yeah, you could kind of see that showing up on like a fashion runway or something. Maybe sans the armored glove that he's wearing, but you could kind of see that showing up on a fashion runway at some Paris fashion show in the early 2000s with some just really awful white hip-hop track playing in the background as the model struts down the road. But then you take a look at Waka, by contrast, and he has a completely different aesthetic to the way that he and the Besaid Aurochs are all dressed. Like, which is much more baggy, and much more like, it feels a lot less like it's held together with zippers and buttons, and a lot more like it's tied together with strings and stuff like that. It feels like a more handmade kind of clothing. Like, look at the pants of the Aurochs there with, like, all this little crisscrossing designs. Like, all of it feels much more handmade and crafted. And the same thing goes for Yuna and her dresses, and then, of course, there's the next character we're going to be talking about but that's one of the ways that the character design singles out Tidus as being from another world. Like, he quite literally looks like he comes from somewhere that's not quite this place. Like, he looks like he comes from somewhere that has nylon and polyester, and this place is just all cotton and linen and silk. Anyway.
Good. Sleep tight.
Where's that boat?
Everyone will find us if it doesn't come soon.
You really sure this is okay?
Would you take me to Zanarkand?
Hey! You said you'd go with me!
Oh, hey,
I thought Waka told you not to get any ideas.
He did?
Yeah, so you're coming with me.
Hey, stop dreaming! You with a woman? You can't even catch a ball!
Ouch.
Oh, what's the matter? Gonna cry again? Cry, cry. That's the only thing you're good for.
I hate you.
Huh? What'd you say?
You have to speak loudly.
I hate you!
Huh?
That's the spirit.
You can do it!
I hate you!
He's dead, okay? Dead.
Starting to think that Tidus may have daddy issues.
He does look a lot like Chapu. I was surprised too, the first time I saw him. But no matter what he looks like, he isn't Chapu. You shouldn't have brought him here in the first place.
Yeah, but
I like her.
Excuses again?
Yeah, but...
That's it. No more. Enough, Waka.
Lulu is good. We'll talk about that character design in a second. Yes.
Scary. So, who's Chapu?
My little brother, Chapu. He looked like you.
He's dead?
He was with the Crusaders when they fought Sin last year. He didn't make it. I first heard on the day of the tournament.
Oh. So that's why.
I became a guardian to fight sin, yeah?
Revenge, then?
That was the idea. I'm more worried about a stupid game now than avenging my brother. Well, after the next tournament, I'll be a guardian full-time. I know it kinda looks like I'm using you, but I'm not.
Don't worry. I mean, I owe you a lot. You really helped me out, you know? What I mean is... thanks, Waka.
Stop. You're embarrassing me.
More custom dialogue animation. Which does give all the like all the custom animated dialogue scenes in this game does give them much more of like a personal quality than they used to have in Final Fantasy games, which is also like that's also necessary because of the voice acting. Like the voice acting kind of, as long as it's only text, your brain kind of fills in like, oh, like you can kind of fill in, okay, what must their body language be like based on what's being said in the dialogue. But with voice acting, with character actors actually like doing the work and the acting of voice acting.
Hey, sleepyhead.
Hello, Lulu.
Something I want to give you.
Whoa! You're giving this to me?
Yeah, use it well.
That's the sword you gave Chappu.
Well, he never used it. Where's Yuna?
We're taking the same boat as Yuna, right? Why do we gotta wait here?
Yuna came to this village 10 years ago, when the last calm started.
The calm?
Since then, she's been like a little sister to me and Lulu. But she had the talent. She became an apprentice. Now, today, she leaves as a summoner.
This is our journey. We should leave together.
You really don't need all that luggage.
They're not really my things. They're gifts for the temples we're to visit.
This isn't a vacation, Yuna.
I guess you're right.
Okay, off we go.
What I love about Yuna's character design is that the vast majority of her is kind of plain. Like, in a lot of ways, she's kind of a little, like, there's, like, contrast her with someone like Lulu, for example. But she has that little cowlick, like, that on the one side of her head, that little bit of hair that just kind of pokes out to the side a little bit. So, like, the vast majority of her, she's dressed very proper in this, like, very kind of formal, sort of ceremonial-looking dress, which it is, like, it's a summoner's outfit. But then there's that little bit of her hair that's always poking out to the side, that's never quite following orders, that's never quite conforming to, like, the prim and proper kind of almost nun-like look that she's mostly got on her character design. And it's such a delicious little team. We'll talk about Lulu in a second, mind you.
Here comes one now. Hey, why don't you try out that sword I gave you?
Ha! No problem.
Not too shabby. You kept up with him pretty well. Might make a good guardian someday. A flyer! My kind of customer.
So I try not to be too horny on Maine most of the time, because, you know, nobody needs that. But I will say that when the game first came out and the little teenage boy me got a look at Lulu, turns out I have a type. Turns out I have a type, and it's her. And I'll tell you what it is. It's the stockings. Like, it's lots of good stuff about Lulu, but it's the fact that she's wearing those, like, lacy silk stockings. just gets me, man. Anyway, we've got some scripted battles here. It's not actually random encounters. It's entirely scripted. Oh god, it's so gross in HD.
Watch this.
It's so gross in HD, man. Oh god.
Told ya, only magic can beat that thing. If you can't beat them down, you gotta use magic of an element they don't like.
Magic? Element?
Let's have our black mage show you what I mean. Lou, you're up.
Clueless, aren't you?
Hello, Lulu. It's look at it's the stocking. Like, yes, there's cleavage. Yes, she's like busty. She's got like that dark, smoky, like powerful woman attitude. That, but it's the damn stocking, man. God damn.
Spells of ice work well against
Anyway,
fire.
enough horny on Maine. Enough of that. Well, horny on
Weak against
not
fire
really
magic.
Maine this channel,
You
but
follow?
still.
I get fire and ice, but what about lightning and water?
Lightning and water are opposed, just like fire and ice. This one here is a water fiend, which means...
Boom. That's the elemental system of this game. 4 elements. Each element has a direct opposite. And that's another thing about this game. Like, a lot of Final Fantasy games up until this point, like, they've had elements. They've had the whole thing about elemental strengths and weaknesses and absorbing elements and so on and so forth. But those have been things that you have very much had to discover, pretty much by trial and error most of the time, to find out, like, what element is a given thing, and what kind of an ability do I need to inflict extra damage on it and beat it faster. It was a trial and error thing. It's a thing like you had to use a scan ability specifically to find out what abilities the enemies might have. Let's just, but here, in this game, we picked up this Rod of Wisdom. That was the treasure that we got in the Cloister of Trials. It has magic plus 3%, magic plus 5%, which is, like, nice. A little power boost for Yuna there. But it also has the ability Sensor. And Sensor is basically scan. Like, it basically allows you to see every single enemy's elemental strengths and weaknesses outside of a few bosses and stuff like that that are immune to Sensor. And so that ability, the ability to see elemental strengths and weaknesses in enemies, is much, 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 much more available. And consequently, it becomes less a case of trial and error in the combat system a lot of the time. A lot of the time, you know, like, you will know instantly what an enemy is weak to, what they're strong to, and you'll know exactly what you need to do in order to beat them, and becomes more a matter of puzzle solving rather than kind of trial and erroring. It's like, oh shit, they absorbed that spell, let's try something else. Like wasting a lot of MP just trying spells out on enemies to find out what they're weak to. Anyway, that little cow like I talked about, you see it on the right side of her head, which is counterbalanced, by the way, in her character design with the earrings that she wears on the left, which is like Yuna has a dichotomy in her character design. She has a split a little bit, which comes down. You'll see it when we get a close-up of her face, that she also has heterochromia. She has a blue and a green eye, and that's her character design. Like, that's Yuna, is that, like, she's got this surface of, like, this buttoned-down, very serious, very sensible, like, very dutiful good girl, but then there's also that other part of her that doesn't quite follow the rules, as it were. So this game has, like, a genuinely excellent character design. Like, Lulu is a horny design. Absolutely no doubt about it. But she's also a massive like, she's the big sister of the group, with Yuna playing little sister in their particular dynamic. And she also has that kind of group mom characteristic. A little bit, like, she is very much often the adult of the group, and that comes through also in her character design. Not just that she is very clearly a grown woman when you look at her, but also, like, that she has a much darker sensibility. Like, she wears dark purple lipstick, she's got heavy eyeshadow, plucked eyebrows, she's got those lovely braids in her hair. But she's also got, like, a ton of belts all over her costume. Now, I know that part of the reason why Tetsuya Nomura designed her with so many frickin' belts on her costume was partly that he was trolling the people who had to make her character model. Like, it was literally, like, he was like, haha, try and put this many belts on a character, as it was, like, messing with them. Like a jerk, which is objectively hilarious, but it's also because she is, like, belts are for restraining things.
Take your time.
You can see she's got belts around her arms as well. She's got a corset. a lot of Lulu's character design is very much about restraint. Restraining emotions, restraining
Let's get going, man.
her body, restraining
Gonna
herself.
wait.
Huh?
Are you ready?
What's going on?
Chappu didn't pray that day. Said he'd miss his boat.
When in Rome,
That should do it.
but yeah, there's lots of really good character design in this game, and we will gush more about it later, and maybe talk a little bit more about Lulu as we go. Like, I might not be able to restrain myself, because I do like her. She's good. Talk about that more in the next episode. So thank you for sticking around for this one. If you've enjoyed it, then, you know, buttons, like, comment, subscribe, algorithm, etc., etc. This is how we do the job of being YouTubers. So if you want to help me out, then those little button clicks help a lot more than you think. If you want to support me directly, then there's Patreon for that. I have a merchandise store, and I have a tip jar. If you want to use any of them, you're very welcome to do so, and if not, you know, please don't worry about it. Also, memberships on this channel, they are also here. They cost $1 a month. There's perks and stuff if you want it. Outside of that, thank you very much for watching. Please remember to wear a mask and, you know, wash your hands. And have solidarity with those who are fighting still to make the world a better place.